Hey everybody, welcome back to The Beard and the Bald. I am Paul Shirey the Beard, and I am joined by my compatriot, the Bald, Christopher Bumbray. Christopher, how are you, sir?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? I'm still tired. I'm still jet lagged from Comic Con.
Yeah, so this year was Chris's first ever Comic-Con.
Yeah,
I'm eager to hear your reaction to it or your overall
I had a
take.
great time. I had a great time. I wish I had done it 15 years ago or 10 years ago when I was younger. I think I would have never wanted to leave. At 40, I was a little more like this is business kind of, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
enjoyed it. And it was a really diverse like group of people. I just thought it was going to be a bunch of like, you know, just guys like me basically, and it wasn't like there were older people, there were younger people. It seemed like everybody
Yeah.
really got into the spirit of it. It was fun. I had some interesting. I saw some interesting stuff. Had some interesting experiences, and was there with a couple of really nice guys. Was there with Lance and Travis Hobson, our old friend of the show, and yeah, it was. I had a good time. San Diego was beautiful. We were staying right in the marina, and that was cool. Yeah, overall, very good experience, I would say.
Which hotel did you stay in?
Oh, the Sheraton, because I booked
Oh,
late,
the Sheridan. Okay.
but I was able to get yeah, I was able to get a spot at the Sheraton on the marina. It was the first stop from the shuttle, so it was perfect.
Nice. So Hall H. Tell me
Hmm.
about your Hall H experience.
So Hall H was weird because the first couple days I went for Dungeons and Dragons and Lord of the Rings, and it wasn't full either time. And then on the Friday night, it was a disaster when they did the John Wick trailer because it was empty. Because they had done this thing, it was directors on directing for Collider, and they hadn't advertised the John Wick trailer would be there. But it was one of those things. If you could put two and two together, it was obvious because Chad
Yeah,
Stahelski
right.
on the panel, yeah, and then Keanu Reeves right before it with the Berserker panel, which apparently was full. Nobody was there, and it just fell flat because you could tell the energy when Reeves came on stage because nobody was in the room, how disappointed he was. And I felt bad for Frosty, who was running the panel for Collider. um but it was too bad because the trailer was amazing, but then after they had these boxes of these guys, these John Wick 4 posters that like just went to waste. Nobody was
Wow.
yeah, because there were just like thousands of the boxes and boxes. It was literally empty. Just the press section was there. Friends of Frosties. That was it.
Wow.
Um, so that was kind of sad. But then the next day was insanity because it was full the whole day because it started off with the Warner Brothers panel and it
Sure.
ended with the Marvel panel. So that whole day was just jam packed. And I mean, I barely left Hall H all day. I left
Yep.
at one point during the afternoon to go have a break, but then like for the few hours leading up to the Marvel panel, I didn't move because it would have been too hard to get a seat going back in.
Yeah. 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 So did you do the ticket swap out thing with Lance to
Oh
take a
yeah, yeah,
break
yeah.
or
I did. Yeah, I
worked
did.
out
It worked
okay?
like you said, it worked well. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. That's
And I
great.
was able to
Great.
work my contacts, so I was able to get into pretty much everything. I didn't really have any problems.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Warner Brothers. So Deadline, I believe it was the day before or the morning of. I think it was the day before. Doesn't really matter. Put out a report that they believed or they had good
Oh.
information that Henry Cavill was going to be there and that he was
Mhm.
going to have some kind of Superman reveal. And
Yeah, and
that
everybody, yeah,
the
everybody was
hype went through the
expecting it.
roof on that.
Yeah,
Right. So it
and I,
drove expectation. My feeling on this though is, you know, where did Deadline get that information?
I
Because it
don't know.
seems so off base. It's just not the
Yeah,
norm for them. So where did they get that info that
it
that was
it
going to
was
happen?
weird. It was weird because I did a reaction video for that on Joe Blow on our Joe Blow originals, a short, and it did pretty well. And it really people were expecting it. But then what I heard during the panel on that, and I said as much in the Joe Blow reaction video, was that it felt like the door was open or that something has happened with him, that he's back,
Yeah.
right? Because they asked Zachary Levy if he would if Shazam could win in a fight with Superman, and he just like his face dropped and he was like didn't know what he could say, and he's like, I can't answer that question. And then they asked The Rock, and The Rock just started laughing, and he said, "Don't threaten me with a good time." And then he
Yeah.
said, "I'll tell you what." And then the room went quiet. He goes, "Depends on who's playing Superman." And
Yeah.
everybody reacted to that like as if he almost confirmed it was going to happen. I'm sure it's going to happen, and I would say that I'm reasonably sure that in either Black Adam or Shazam, there's
He's
going to
in
be
it.
Henry Cavill show up as Superman.
Yep.
100%.
That's my feeling as well. It's something that I've
Yeah.
brought up to people that have asked me about it. And my feeling is that he has either shot something for both or one of them, but somewhere the ink is not dry on the announcement, or
Yeah.
or DC, WB, whatever, are playing the long game in this, kind of like, they don't want to ruin the surprise, and like let it kind of like just play it out until the movie
I would
Black
think
Adam
that
comes
that's
out.
what's happening. And I think that's probably the smart thing to do, because if they do that, and if Black Adam comes out and people don't know, and then rumors go around and people start hearing that he's in like a post-credit scene, it's going to bounce business for the movie, which already seems like an unsure thing to begin with. So I would imagine that's probably what they're doing.
I wonder if that will hold though. And I'll tell you why, because I remember when Captain America Civil War was coming out. And I remember when the big trailer debuted, and I knew at that point that Spider-Man, I had an insider that told me all about Spider-Man being in it and everything, which I reported on at Joe Blow when I was there. And people were like, I remember somebody, I think it was Matt when he was at Collider. He was like, "Oh, they better not show Spider-Man, like that would just ruin it." And I was like, and I shared my opinion on it. My take was that if you have Spider-Man in your Captain America movie and you want to get as many people as possible, we're not just talking about the nerds on Twitter like us. You want to get as many people as possible. You're gonna show Spider-Man.
Yeah, my theory though is that it's not a big role if he's in it, like it's a cameo. So that's a little different.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a
Because he was a
cameo, that's
major
one thing.
role in Civil War. He was one of the stars of the movie.
Absolutely. But that's my thing, is like how involved it will depend on how involved he is in the film. If DC decides to continue to hold that to their chest, because I don't know, man. Like if it's more than a post credits thing, then I guarantee you they're probably still weighing like, do we want to say or not? But here's the other thing. This is one other aspect that I've brought up before too, is that DC fandom could very well still happen this year.
Yeah.
Nobody said it's
like
not happening.
I feel like it will, and it'll probably happen in person if it does. But well, and they clearly were, not revealing much, and I think that
for whatever reason.
Yeah. And it was, but then let's get to the other one. Let's get to Marvel. Marvel, on the other hand, it was almost too much that dropped, right? Like
it was an onslaught.
Not
like,
only
make
was it
up
how
for
is
years.
phase 4 going to end, but like phase 5 and phase 6, and so much news was confirmed. I mean, the audience went crazy when Daredevil Born Again was confirmed.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But then you saw him in the trailer for She-Hulk though, so they're bringing him in right away. Like he's and it's just, and it was with Secret Wars and
Kang Dynasty.
Yeah, and seeing the Ant-Man trailer and the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer and the secret invasion trailer. It's all a lot of stuff. But that said, I do find that Marvel is putting out too much content. I felt that way for years, especially with the Disney Plus shows. It's too much content that's not great, and the effects still look terrible to me on She-Hulk. But then what's really disturbing is all the stories that have been coming out in the last week about how it's basically a sweatshop.
Yeah.
And that to me should not be allowed. We live in a so-called consequence culture. Why the fuck does Marvel get a free pass then to just treat people like garbage? Like it doesn't make any sense.
And that's what happens when you're the big kid on the block.
Well, yeah, we all go out and we see their movies and we celebrate them as, oh, they're so wonderful and they're so inclusive and they're so this and they're so that. But then it's all bullshit. It's all surface. They're treating people like garbage. So to me, that was troubling. And I would say that tainted the whole panel for me, because I was watching it and I was like, how many fucking, like, what's is anybody getting remunerated fairly? Any of these effects workers, they're all getting treated like shit. It's like nothing is, I don't know. Yeah. It kind of tainted the whole thing. And I was also talking to Travis about it. And I was like, how much of the Marvel stuff they announced is actually going to be good? Like how much of it? A fourth or a third, maybe? How much of it is actually going to be good? 18 episodes for Daredevil? Do we need an 18 episode season?
I'm a huge Daredevil fan and I love the show on Netflix.
What it was, though,
I'm not going to complain, but that's the thing, is like, for 18 episodes, I don't know that that's really going to be is it just going to be a bunch of filler? That's the thing.
Yeah.
I felt like the Netflix shows were fairly lean, but even them, there was a few episodes that kind of dragged a little bit. But overall, I thought it was a great show, but it was also, mature rated. It didn't have to like tie into a bunch of shit, and it could just be what it was. And Born Again, for those that don't know, is a Frank Miller story with David Mazzucchelli drawing it. Is an amazing run on Daredevil, which they basically already did in Daredevil season 3. So I'm very curious, like, are they born again? Because they kind of already did it. So I'm just very curious what the plan is for that. But I'm a huge Daredevil fan, so I'm open to that. Of anything, I'm very excited that that's going to happen. But I've seen my excitement be fucking destroyed with shit like Obi-Wan Kenobi, which you and I have like, predicted and wanted for years and years and years. And it's like, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. And that's kind of what happened with Obi-Wan. So I don't know. I'm hopeful for Daredevil, but I do agree, like 18 episodes does seem like, I mean, like Moon Knight, I think was like what, six episodes, and God, it was torture. I hated it.
Moon Knight, I interviewed Ethan Hawke the other day for last.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. Ethan Hawke's
He's
awesome.
great.
I want to interview him.
Yeah, he's super nice.
He's such a cool guy. I wish he would have had a better part in Moon Knight. But
it's funny if you watch the last movie Stars, which I recommend people do. There's a great. Every time you see Ethan Hawke, he's on his couch on Zoom and his dog is behind him sleeping. And it's funny. The interview was great because he talked about, I was like, if we have readers that don't necessarily know Paul Newman movies, which ones would you start with? And he was like, oh, that's a great question. And he ended up listing me like 10 movies. And then he was like, he just kept going on and on and on. It was pretty fun.
Nice. Yeah, and I saw that show looks compelling to me, but it's 6 episodes. Does it?
Yeah,
need to
I
be
watched
6
it all.
episodes?
I liked it a lot. You get if you're a Paul Newman fan though, that's the thing. And and interested in Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward and the whole thing. Like I am interested in that aspect. I don't know if it's for everybody. And it's also, you also really have to like Hawk, because the thing is Hawk interjects constantly in the thing, right?
I mean, so I love Hawk, so that's like
he's in it more than Paul Newman is. Like, so it's it's Paul Newman through the lens of Ethan Hawke, and it's but I like that, and I love Hawk, so it was and his daughter's in it a lot, and his daughter had this really profound comment in it, and she goes, "Well, the thing about a relationship is, you on your own is somebody, and then her on her own is somebody, then the two of you together as a couple is somebody else. It's a separate entity," and it was kind of, and then Hawk is just like, whoa, who told you that? And she's like, you did. I did.
Yeah. That's funny because that sounds like something he would say and then possibly forget at some point. That sounds, I'm interested to check it out, but I mean, you're a better selling point on some of that stuff. But anyways, back to Marvel, wrapping up Marvel. What did you think of the Ant-Man trailer? That's one that they didn't release.
It was funny.
The public.
It looks like the other Ant-Man movies, kind of like a fun Marvel movie, but I think it's going to be important because it's going to set up Kang.
It seems like it's going to, a lot of people are saying it's going to be dark. Just people like saying, oh, they're going to kill.
It doesn't look dark at all. It really doesn't look, it really does not look dark. But, and then Bill Murray was in the trailer, the now canceled Bill Murray.
And who is he playing? Do you know, or is he just Bill Murray as Bill
somebody
Murray?
in the quantum realm who was like, I think an ex of Michelle Pfeiffer's character, like they had like some kind of relationship going. But
so he's an actual character that's existing.
Yeah. He was prominently featured in the trailer. So
interesting.
Yeah.
The other trailer,
it's also a big launch for Catherine Newton as Cassie Lang.
Yeah.
Like
who is a big character, not a big character, but she is a standalone character in the comics by herself. And then you saw the Guardians 3 trailer, which seemed to get a very emotional reaction. I saw like a slightly leaked version.
They're gonna probably release it at D23, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think that's probably about right. But it seemed like that got a very emotional reaction, especially from the cast. So I'm looking forward to that one. But I will say the Black Panther trailer was the one that I thought was like the standout. I mean, that's the one.
No, I mean it's what everybody was waiting for, and it seemed like To me, it all but confirmed the fact that Letitia Wright Shuri is going to be the new Black Panther, though.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I remember when she was injured on set, and then they were like, I remember the Kevin
Well, they had to shut it
Feige.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Kevin Feige had put out a thing where he was like, he's like, Shuri is essential to this movie and stuff like that. I'm kind of like, okay, I'm pretty sure she's
Black
gonna be
Panther, and it was kind of
Black Panther.
confirmed. Anyway, we'll see. It looks good though. Namor, Namor was
Yeah, having
confirmed.
Namor come in is great. I think, I just think I was surprised at how good it looks, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I was surprised to see how they're handling Chadwick Boseman's death.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's obviously dead in the movie. And my guess would be it's going to have something to do with Namor, as in the comics, Wakanda and Atlantis have a huge war. And like Namor kills like a huge batch of people in Wakanda. So there's like a really like pretty fucked up dynamic that goes on there in the books. So it'd be interesting to see how they handle that in the movie. But I think it could really work quite well in fleshing that story out. So I guess we'll see. But I think my takeaway from the MCU stuff is I think it's very cool. Like that Hall H energy and those, those reveals and everything is really cool. But then stepping back from it now, it feels like Marvel just continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And as you said, and as we know, the quality is not staying consistent.
Yeah.
You're losing quality
They
with
should
these
do
Disney
about
Plus
a
shows.
fourth of what they're doing.
I agree. Yeah. Like most of these shows, we don't need Secret Invasion.
And I'm surprised they didn't announce like a Shang-Chi 2. Like, when's that coming out? Like, I feel like that's what people want.
Well, I mean, and then they did announce that that Destin was directing the Kang Dynasty,
so he'll probably be one of the main Avengers, I guess. But it's just
Yeah, my feeling is that Shang-Chi will probably play a big part in that one, in that Avengers film. I have no idea what the story is going to be, obviously, but I guess we'll see. But anyways, I'm glad you got to experience that, the Comic-Con kind of craziness. I'll never forget my first Comic-Con. It was fucking amazing. I loved it. It was when Marvel had like 3 or 4 projects to announce, so that was pretty nice. But
it wasn't just bang, bang, and I'm there with my notes like,
yeah, exactly. I wasn't like, oh my fucking god, I can't keep up with this. Like, there's just no way.
Like, fine, I can't even watch the trailers because I'm like, describe it, Yeah.
That's true. So one other DC note before we move on from that is apparently Ben Affleck is in Aquaman 2. Jason Momoa shared a picture with him, apparently either on set or on the Warner Brothers lot, and they had shot something or alluded to having shot something. And now, everybody's reporting, yes, Ben Affleck is in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And the whole thing about it for me is like, is Ben Affleck just kind of like, yeah, sure, I'll come be Batman for my friends? Is he just kind of like just showing up, like if his Justice League pals call up and just like jump into these movies? Or is he taking like this Batman thing seriously? I can't. He's the most wishy-washy guy on the Batman thing, where he's like, I don't really care. Fuck Batman. I'm not Batman. I don't care. And then and then a month later, he's fucking Batman again. Like, I'm like, what's going on with you, Ben? Like, I know he just got married to Jennifer Lopez. Maybe he's feeling reinvigorated in some way or something. He looks great though. Like, Affleck looks great. He looks fit. He looks healthy. Yeah. And maybe that's part of it too. Maybe he's like, maybe he just had a change of heart. That's one thing I've
always liked him, and nice guy. When I interviewed him, I always, I've always been pro Ben Affleck. So
yeah, I mean, I'm a fan. I think he's a very unique actor. He's a unique director as well.
Bar a lot. I'm very eager to see the movie he's doing about Nike. That should be
yeah. In production now. Matt Damon looks great. I don't know if you've seen any of the set pics. He just looks like he's got like a little tiny gut, and he's like just looks like this kind of like salesman guy, because that's what he is. That's the character he's playing. It's just kind of funny. to see that. But I'm just very I'm perplexed. I'm perplexed at what Affleck or how he is treating this Batman role, because it's an interesting thing to watch happen. You know, he came back for Zack Snyder, he came back for the Flash, now he's back for Aquaman. Is there something more building to Ben Affleck returning to Batman? I don't know. I don't want to. I don't want to sit here like build out some kind of weird expectation, but I do think it's interesting that he continues to pop up after he continues to tell us he's done. And he said it in interviews. He said it on late night TV that he's done, and he just keeps coming back. So I don't know. I feel like Ben is just playing. He's like long conning to fuck with everybody. I don't know. It's pretty funny. So moving on, Chris, there's a movie we both watched. I would guess you watched in the last week, probably right around the same time as me. A movie called Prey.
I watched it in line. I'm on my phone at Comic-Con. My headset on.
That's hilarious.
Not the best way to watch it, but that said, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool.
It's
my third favorite Predator movie.
Same third. It goes Predator 1, Predator 2, and Prey for me.
Yeah, and I was talking to Lance at the site as well. He feels exactly the same way.
Yeah. I think out of all the Predator should have been a fucking slam dunk, like with Shane Black.
Yeah. We've got a really cool interview with Amber Midthunder going up this week. And she's cool. She's funny. She like has like the Dutch action figure, like the Funko figure with her, and like she's a fan of Schwarzenegger and of the movie. So like it's kind of
funny.
She's actually pretty funny. But I thought she was great, and I liked the cast. I would have liked to have seen it in Comanche though. That's the one caveat.
Yeah, that would have been cool. And I apparently you'll be able to when it's on Hulu.
Yeah, and that'll be much
I think that would be fun to watch it that way.
Yeah.
More immersive, actually. You know what I'm saying?
But they made the Predator scary again, though, and I liked how the Predator was learning about how to fight, and we can't release this, by the way, until Wednesday. But then it was how the Predator like learns about humans and to fight humans and what's the real threat, and like fights the different creatures on the planet. Like I liked kind of the fact that it was almost a Predator origin story to some extent, how the hunt happened. And I liked that a lot. And I thought that the fighting was really well done. I thought she was great. Well, I liked the whole cast, really. I thought they were all great. I think Trachtenberg, I think, is a great director. I wish it had been, they'd had a little more money maybe to do it, and kind of built it out a little bit more. But I think for what they did, the contained story I think it was great. I think, though, with a little bit more, it probably could have become really the second best Predator movie. Yeah, and I think it falls maybe just short of Predator 2. But that said, I thought, all things considered, I thought it was very well done, because it seems that making a Predator movie is much harder than you'd think, right? So they nailed it. They aced the assignment, I would say.
I feel like Trachtenberg did a great job. I do agree, though. I feel like there was definitely something missing, and my son felt the same way too. He loved it. He watched it with me, and he loved it. But he was of the same mind. He was like, there was something. He's like, it was really cool, and like this was really cool, and that was really cool, but there was something not quite there. And I think for me, what it was is that they needed to build a little more connectivity with Midthunder's character, with Naru, in the village, and kind of like with the elders and stuff like that. Like you see like this chieftain guy, right? Like when they come back from a hunt, he never speaks. He never says a word.
It was like it was missing a first act almost. He jumped right into it. And it was kind of like, I would have liked to have seen more with her struggle with, being taken seriously. But I thought that the whole angle with her, though, wanting to be a hunter, I thought it could have been one of those things where it was like, a little too heavy-handed, but I thought they did it pretty well. They handled it quite well.
They didn't marry Sewer, so that was what was great. Was that they show her in the hunt with the lion, and she shows courage, but she ultimately fails, right? And she gets injured.
She learns stuff, which is cool. Right. And I liked the way she fought with the axe and the weapon that she did.
Yeah, that was cool.
Designs. I thought that was really cool, because that was kind of like, oh, now I could see how she could maybe win against the Predator, because she's not strong, but she's cunning. you know, and I think that was
Exactly.
interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what ultimately, you know, for spoilers for anybody. Well, this is just my theory. This isn't really a spoiler, but you know, she ultimately, the prey in the title has kind of a dual meaning. The predator actually becomes the prey because she starts hunting him.
Well,
And that's
and
where that
also
transition happens.
and it's cool because the predator like learns things from her, and it kind of comes back in other movies like a little bit, like it's kind of like almost assimilates the things that it learned from fighting her to fight the
Yeah.
humans in future movies, which I thought
Yeah.
was kind of cool, you know.
Well, and there's obviously there's a bigger connection, which I won't spoil, that does lead into future movies, and also there is kind of a post credits tease. So if you stick around, you will see that you'll see that it does tease and kind of set up something that could follow. And what I really liked was that I feel like the ending, and that little tease sets up a whole. It really opens the Predator franchise up to telling all kinds of stories as they've done in the comics and
Yeah.
novels, where it could take place at any time period and it can still have that connective tissue that leads all the way up to Dutch and then Danny Glover's character and everybody else, you know, everything that happens in present day. But there's so many stories that you can tell in those different time periods, which I think would be fascinating, you know, to like show those Predator stories that happened at different time periods. I think it really it does a very successful job of telling this story at this time, which
The
makes it.
reason I think it was ultimately successful, and I think for me, when I watch a Predator movie, what's ultimately the key for me is the protagonist has to be different than what I've seen before, you know, and I think that that's why it's good, you know, and I think that's why those three of them really work, because the first one, you get Schwarzenegger, who's like the real action star military man, right,
Yeah.
with all the firepower, and then it gets taken away from him, but it's really like a case of brawn in that movie, right? Whereas in the sequel, Danny Glover's way more urban and doesn't have the same kind of brawn, but uses a different style of fighting the predator, right? And it's much more like street level. And I thought that was
Yeah.
cool. And that's never really been done again in the series.
Yeah,
But
it's
then
true.
every other movie that came out, they just tried to do what the first Predator did again. They just tried to ape what Arnold Schwarzenegger did, and none of them are good enough. Like they don't cast a guy. Nobody who they've cast can go up against Arnold Schwarzenegger in that kind of role.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Adrian Brody, no. Boyd Holbrook, no, not even close. You know, and the thing is, they cast these kind of like generic leading men, and I think why this one worked is it was very different. The style of fighting, she was completely different from Schwarzenegger or from Glover. It was a
Yeah.
different type of person, you know. And it's funny because we'd never really seen the Predator fight a girl before. We'd seen a girl in Predator movies like an AVP, but it was kind of interesting the way they developed that. So she was unique, and I think that if they're going to continue doing this series, you need to make it unique. Like I'd kind of like to see the Predator go up against somebody in like China or something, like a monk, Shaolin monk or something like that.
Yeah.
That might be kind of cool. Or a samurai, you know,
Yeah.
something very different. And I think that would be neat.
Yeah, samurai setting would be
Yeah.
fucking awesome. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Um, I thought like maybe, and there's like a Civil War one that I
That
believe
would
they've
be
been
cool
done.
too. Like a Civil War soldier. That'd be amazing. Yeah. Like
Like,
something like that would be really cool. Or a
yeah,
cowboy,
there's
you know,
yeah,
something neat
exactly.
like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Like you literally put a predator into a situation, put him into an ongoing war or
You know,
conflict
it'd
or
be great.
whatever.
They should drop the Predator onto the Yellowstone Ranch. Rip is the last man
He
standing.
never stand a chance.
Rip
All that
would be the
drama
Predator would
would kill the
fucking kill
predator.
himself. Beth would kill Predator.
Predator just be like, these motherfuckers are crazy.
These fucking crazy bastards. No, the only one that would
Oh
survive.
fuck.
The only one that would survive would be Jimmy, because Taylor Sheridan loves him so much.
Jimmy, I don't know. It'd probably be Beth. Beth is like taking so much shit. She'd probably be the one to kill the predator.
Yeah,
And it would
probably.
be, and it would, she would kill him with insults. The predator would just
Yeah,
cry
so
himself to
it would
death.
kill itself afterwards.
Oh
I want to see
shit.
a RuPaul's Drag Race Predator crossover
There
with
you
like
go.
with like the Queen shooting Luke's at the Predator. The Predator just kind of like withers under the comments.
Oh my God. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So building off of Prey, which we talked about wanting to see it in the Comanche language. The movie
I think they could
has
have put it out in theaters though. as opposed to like streaming. Like I think it probably would have been a cool movie to see theatrically.
I would have gone. I would have gone
Yeah.
to the theaters to see it without. I mean, it would have been a no brainer. I absolutely would
Yeah.
have gone.
Mhm.
I would probably see any Predator movie in
Yeah.
theaters. I've
Well, this
already
one you
seen
would have
every
actually
Predator movie
gotten
in
your
theaters.
money's worth.
Yeah, right. Like I wouldn't have left so fucking like
Pissed off
just
with this one. Yeah.
yeah, like ugh.
Mhm.
So anyways, I had a chance to talk to a Native American actor this week, and he's somebody that I know that our listeners know, and that you know. You've seen him in
Of course.
multiple movies, and he's kind of a legend in that
Yeah.
way. And it's Wes Studi,
Yeah.
who
I mean, for me,
is
when I was a kid, honestly, Wes Studi and Graham Greene were like the two
yeah
guys that I
yeah
always
yeah
thought of. And it was funny, like because Wes Studi was in he was the Magua in Last of the Mohicans, and I loved him in that. And I liked Russell Means was great in that movie too, who has a real
yes
history,
yes
and then I loved him in Geronimo. I thought that was
yep
great too. And
Walter
then he
Hill
was in, but
Geronimo,
then
yeah.
also seeing him in an urban role like Heat, and he's like a Nam veteran and stuff like that. Like he must have been a pretty interesting guy to talk to.
And that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to one, because I mean he's one of the most memorable actors in Hollywood. Forget that
But he's
he's
got a face that looks like it saw some shit.
yeah, like, and it's like this unique, just such a unique face and
Yeah, yeah.
such a great voice. He's just
Oh
a
yeah,
great,
his voice is nuts. Yeah,
such an
yeah.
amazing presence.
And
And
he spoke French pretty well in Last of the Mohicans as well. I have to say, and that always pisses me off when people speak French in movies. They don't do it well. And he actually was quite good in that movie.
and he's learned, he's played so many different Native American roles, and he learns those languages when he plays those roles too.
Yes.
Just as he did for Hostiles, which I believe you've seen
Oh,
Hostiles with
he
Christian
was
Bale.
great. He was great in Hostiles. Yeah,
He
yeah.
actually he doesn't ever speak English in Hostiles. He only speaks Cheyenne in that
That's a
movie,
very, very good movie. Yeah.
which is a great, yeah, it's if you haven't seen Hostiles, I highly recommend
very
it.
underrated. Yeah.
It's super underrated. Yeah, great little like Western, and Christian Bale's amazing in it too. But anyways, I wanted to talk to Wes just because he's in his 70s. He's been around for a long time, and
It's a love story with Dale Dickey, right?
so yeah, so the movie is a love story with Dale Dickey, as you said,
So
and
got
it's
also
this,
got a face that seems like she's seen a lot. Like I always thought her
right? Yeah, yeah,
fascinating character too. Like I would
yeah.
imagine between the two of them must have been the acting, the performances must have been quite good.
So it's this. I really didn't expect that much, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
but I got the movie like literally just before I interviewed him. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna put this on. I'll try and watch it because I was working at the same time too. And I was really drawn into it.
Yeah.
It's a quiet, meditative kind of,
Well,
indie
they're
film.
very authentic actors. I think that's the thing
Yeah.
about.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's a unique role for both of them, because for Wes, he has typically been cast because he's Native American, because of the way he looks, and because it all started with Dances with Wolves, and he's just been cast in these roles ever since, which he's embraced as a Native American. But A Love Song has nothing to do with that, and it's one of the most it's about his acting, it's about his presence. It's not about, hey, I'm also Native American. It's never mentioned. It's never anything. And I thought that was great. It's great for him as an actor to just, hey, I am Native American, but I'm just going to play this role. I'm just this guy that basically reconnects with this woman who they had kind of like a shared history, like all the way back to childhood, like in their high school years. And they've both grown up and they've lived their lives and they've lost loved ones. Dale Dickey lost her husband. He lost his wife, and they kind of reconnect. And it's a great story where you're like, oh, these are like two like old people that are reconnecting, and you think they would have like this kind of mature, like, hey, we could just slide into this relationship and see what happens. But it's like two teenagers, like the way that they're communicating, and they're awkward, and they're kind of like testing each other's limits. And it's a great little exploration of these two characters, a great showcase for both of them, who traditionally have been cast in very specific roles. He's played kind of these almost malicious Native Americans. Dale Dickey's usually played like a crazy redneck chick or something, and it's just a great little showcase for both of them. And it was a unique film, and more than that, it was a unique time to talk to Wes. I was able to, it means something to me to be able to thank a veteran for their service is just, something I'll do and I'll continue to do.
I'm sure he
And it was,
appreciated that.
I mean, I hope so. I mean, the guy, he was in the infantry and went to Vietnam and served. He voluntarily served. To me, it doesn't matter what people, whether you believe in war or whatever, it doesn't matter. Like the people that, go and do that, I have immense respect, and I just wanted to pay my respects in that manner. So, if you ever listen to my interviews and you get annoyed with me saying that to other veterans, it's never going to stop. It's just,
it's interesting.
It's kind of a common thing.
Sure.
But he's just a very unique guy. So anyways, I've prattled on enough about it. Here is me talking to Wes Studi about A Love Story, and we kind of go through his whole resume, including Deep Rising. So I didn't leave anything out. So here's Wes Studi.
Well, I'm meeting someone here. Supposed to be.
And who is this someone?
I mean, I knew him as a kid. Not even sure what he looks like anymore. Howdy. You know me?
I don't know. You know me? Why?
We came here for a field trip, 1970.
You tried to kiss me that day.
You tried to kiss me.
I don't remember that.
Wes, how are you, sir?
I'm well. How are you, Paul?
I'm great.
Paul.
Yeah, Paul. First and foremost, I just wanted to thank you for your service. I'm a combat veteran myself, and it's an honor to speak to a fellow vet. My unit was the 501st Parachute Infantry Regiment, and we were called the Geronimos. So it's both cool and ironic to talk to the man who played him.
Yeah, so you jumped out of a perfectly good plane, right?
Far too many times. So yeah. And I guess the origin of it was when the unit started during World War II, they had watched the old Geronimo movie like the night before they went and did a jump. And one of the guys that was just inspired by the movie yelled Geronimo as he jumped out of the plane. And then it just became our namesake. So to this day, we still say, "Oh, you're a fellow Geronimo." So it's just one of those things. And it's just ironically cool that I'm talking to the man who embodied Geronimo in the most recent film. So it's really cool. So Wes, I want to talk a little bit about your past films leading up to A Love Song, because I feel like, it's such a different performance for you. And I think it's kind of worth revisiting the past a little bit as we get up to that, if you'll just bear with me on that. You've been a staple actor in some of the best films featuring Native Americans in modern Hollywood. Dances with Wolves, Last of the Mohicans, Seraphim Falls, one of my favorites that doesn't get enough love, Geronimo, Hostiles. What does it mean to you to be such an integral part of those films and the success of them?
Well, it's a wonderful thing for me. It's been very good for my career, and I'm eternally grateful for the fact that I was able to get into the business, and the fact that I could ride a horse, shoot a gun, and speak a language other than English was one of the reasons I got my first job. And so Westerns for me had been the opening into acting, into show business, essentially. And as time went on, I'm happy to say I sort of crossed over into roles that weren't so ethnically specific over time, and that has essentially been my goal, is to go from being a native actor, a Cherokee actor, or to being a good actor. And that's still my goal. I mean, it's a process that I think never really ends. It's kind of like education. You never finish an education. You never and you never totally perfect your craft either, I think. But that's what we do, is continue to perfect our craft, I think.
So building on that, you've been in so many, I mean, I was just going over your filmography. You've been in so many films. I mean, just tons of them. And some of the ones that kind of stuck out to me, some of that were my favorites. Deep Rising, Heat.
Oh my God, really? You said Deep Rising. Okay.
I love. Listen, Deep Rising is a movie that I feel like has become a cult classic over the years. It is a fun, cool action movie, like sci-fi action horror monster movie, however you want to term it. This is a great movie, and there's so many people in it that you're like, oh my God, there's Wes Studi and Diamond Hounsu and like all these guys. You're like, holy crap, this is like a legit. And I saw it in theaters, so I love it. You're also in Mystery Men, Street Fighter, Avatar. A lot of people, I'm sure they recognize like that he may be blue in this movie, but that is Wes Studi. I knew it, and I remember looked it up, and I was like, I knew it was Wes Studi. I knew it.
Wow.
And then of course Heat. So I can't not mention Heat. And Heat was a movie where I was like, wow, this is Wes Studi just playing a cop. It has nothing to do with being Native American, has nothing to do with being, anything like that. It was just like a great thing to see you in a role like that. And I'm curious, I don't think I've ever heard your take on being a part of Heat and working with Michael Mann and Al Pacino and just playing a cop. What was that like for you?
It was really a great introduction to not only Pacino but De Niro as well, and people that I actually never had any kind of experience with, and that's sort of Italian Americans, and to be able to be in a film with really. At that point in time, they were working icons, right? I mean, they were A-list to the max, and I think that was one of the first that I got to work with in a film like that, and the film itself I would call iconic, but it was quite an experience in terms of. Not only that, but as well as playing a policeman in the city of Los Angeles. We did a lot of research in terms of ride-alongs and whatever.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we did, and I remember one night that I really got a blast of what reality is for policemen that work the streets, wherein we witnessed. Not I witnessed, but we heard over the radio how two gangs came together. A man in a wheelchair was killed by a rival gang member, and then it just escalated to four people shooting the other member like that. Payback.
Oh wow!
The four people actually got shot all within a matter of something like 2 hours, and we listened on the radio, and we went to places where the shootings had actually happened. They didn't allow us to get too close or anything, but
Right.
And it finally turned out that the first guy in the wheelchair who was shot was not the one who was supposed to be shot, if you will.
Oh wow!
They shot the wrong guy, and then started the
Wow.
whole thing rolling, and three more people were gang warfare.
Yeah, it's a real deal, especially out on the streets in LA for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we worked with the uniformed people there that we rode along with, and not the detectives at all, but yeah, it was quite an eye-opener in what kind of world that they actually have to live in.
Yeah. So bridging from that to a love song, I watched the movie this morning, so it's very fresh in my mind. You're playing a very different character than we've seen you play before, and it's sweet, it's wholesome, and it's a performance that I feel like really allows audiences to see you in a completely different light, and just kind of this meditative character study. And again, kind of like he has nothing to do with being Native American. It's not mentioned, it's not discussed. It's just you being an actor, and it's an amazing, just subtle, beautiful performance. And I'm just curious, how did this part come to you, and what was it like just kind of creating this character and this dynamic with Dale Dickey, your co-star?
Oh, well, it started with Max, the writer and director of the story, and he reached out to me at some point in time, and he offered a role that involved singing, playing guitar, kissing a girl, and I thought, well, I like the sound of that for sure. Um, and then upon further study of the character himself and the kind of situation that brought him to meet with his old friend Faye, was the the sparseness of dialogue, for one.
Yeah.
Left room for so much audience participation in terms of, I think the audience has the opportunity to think that he's going to say this or he's going to say that, or how would I feel in that situation? And we know we've all been in it,
Oh yeah, yeah.
connecting with another person is not that simple a thing,
No, it's not.
and I think that's how we played it in terms of our real interactions as actors. We sort of stayed away from like becoming too close of friends or not hanging out and doing anything, but we couldn't anyway because it was a pandemic.
Sure. Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and all, but yeah, I think that it's a really good study in how we really act toward one another, and I think the two characters are extremely cerebral and thoughtful about their own actions, to the point of what it produced is a kind of an awkward situation that is kind of funny in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. I wound up the first time I saw it kind of laughing at these two characters, and even able to get away from my own performance, watching my own performance.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful performance from both you and Dale. I think it's a really just, again, this quiet meditative thing. Some great comedy. There's just parts where I was laughing out loud too, just at kind of this awkwardness of like these two older people that seem like almost like teenagers, like reconnecting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a great line towards the end of the film when Dale Dickey says, it's not a scene that you're in, but she says it to one of the other characters. She says, however long you get, that's long enough. So building on that, you didn't venture out into Hollywood until you were in your 40s. And you've become one of the most recognizable faces in the industry at this point. And I'm just curious, what has kept you inspired as an actor all these years?
I finally, in my life, found something that I wanted to do. I've done a number of things, to make a living throughout life until, like, I was, like you said, 40. But at about that time is when I discovered acting really paid off for me. It was something I really enjoyed doing, and something that I could do for as long as my body will permit it, and it really was an awakening for myself, in that, wow, I finally found what it is I want to do with my life. And so, yeah, it was great to finally come to it's not really a decision, but to finally find what it is you really want to do in life. It's not just work, it's life.
Yeah, absolutely. And you made it happen at that as well. Like, you found what you wanted and you made it happen. It's been an amazing journey just to watch it come to life. Like, I mean, there's so many films I've seen you in, as many that I've already named, that are just like, wow, like, it's Wes Studi is awesome.
Well, we had a lot of help. I had a lot of support throughout. I didn't do it all by myself.
Sure. So my last question here is, I'm not sure if you already know this or not, but I know that Kevin Costner is getting ready to shoot a big, like, 2-part Western coming up. another big sprawling movie. And I'm just curious, are we going to see Wes Studi back in something like that? And if not, do you need to call Kevin Costner? Because I would love to see that come together again.
Well, actually, if you want to give him a call, tell him I'm available right now. But
All right.
whenever he starts shooting, if I'll be available then.
Yeah. I think it's in pre-production now, but I was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, man, how awesome it would be to see like a nice Dances with Wolves reunion, pull this thing together. I'd love to see all these characters come back in like new roles. It's, just kind of almost a sequel in a way. So that would be great. So
Yeah.
I think it would be awesome. Wes, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Again, thank you for your service, sir. And it has been an honor to talk to you and just to share this moment with you. So thank you so much.
And I thank you for your service as well.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.
See you, Paul.
Bye-bye.
Very well done, Paul.
Yeah, I think there's points in the interview where I kind of start rambling. And I think because honestly, I was genuinely excited to talk to Wes. So forgive me for the areas where I'm fucking running my mouth too much. But I was very, very excited to talk to him, and it was fun. So try and get more interviews like that as we go forward. I am trying to line up some more for the future. So we'll see what happens. We'll try and get Chris on some of them, but he's busy running another website. Dirty bastard. So for our I think probably our big topic that I was going to save for us to talk about, Chris, is one that's ongoing as of this morning. Is Stallone has been very vocal, harshly vocal, some might say, about getting his rights back for Rocky.
Yeah.
Or some shred of his rights back. He's not asking for all of the rights back. But he has been posting on social media within the last month and then up to this morning, really attacking producer Irwin Winkler over the rights for Rocky. And I think that it's probably going to be a little confusing for people when they're seeing this, and it's hard to make out what's actually happening. So when Stallone made the first Rocky, he pretty much gave everything up. He was an unknown kind of nobody.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like the unspoken Hollywood thing where it's like, hey, we're going to make your movie, chill the fuck out. We'll give you some money. And he ended up winning an Oscar for that. And it's become, the franchise that's essentially made him who he is. You could argue Rambo too, but I think Rocky probably is the signature one. They don't have Rambo statues outside of art museums, but so anybody that knows Stallone, that's followed his career, he's obviously made a ton of Rocky movies, and then the Creed spinoff series, and it's not that he hasn't made money off of those films. He has. He has some profit shares and things like that.
It's that he doesn't have creative control anymore. I think that's part of it, and and I think it started with Creed 2 because he wrote a script that was jettisoned, and they cut a lot of the stuff that he had brought to it originally. But I think what happened was, so a couple months ago, Frank Stallone, who's a character, posted on Instagram a post basically attacking Michael B. Jordan in Creed 3, right? And then it was removed within 24 hours, right? And then it was, so obviously his brother got on the phone, and I think there's some bad blood there. I think the fact that he's not involved in Creed 3, I think is a problem. But I think what the biggest problem is now is that they want to build out the franchise for spinoffs. And this is always a problem when you get a big studio that's acquired by Amazon. Of course, they're going to do that. And it's bad. And I get why he's upset about it, because he said something on his Instagram that they're literally picking the bones of the characters that he created with giving Drago a spinoff. Why? Yeah. And then they're going to do like a Clubber Lang spinoff. Like, where does it stop? And he has no more control of the characters. He can't have a say into what these movies are going to be like, what the quality is going to be. And it taints his brand. And the thing is, it's what the James Bond movies are always in danger of happening, because people want to branch these things out and they don't understand the franchise. And the thing is, Stallone understands the franchise, just like Barbara Broccoli understands the franchise. And I think Stallone wants part of his rights back, and I think he wants to be involved, and I think he wants to have the final say. And to be honest, I think he deserves it, because you don't have that series, you don't have any of those movies without Stallone. Stallone's stamp is on every single one of them, even Creed 2. So, and it's the big experiment as to whether or not Creed 3 is going to work without him. We'll see. But I think the fact that it was delayed to March is telling, because I feel like they're maybe trying to settle the situation with Stallone to some extent. But I think they need to give him his due. I mean, it's his character. He is, and it's kind of, sketchy. He said in his thing that, Dolph went behind his back. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's just kind of, it is sad, because he's, he really has been a champion of Dolph Lundgren's career, bringing him back from kind of nothing. And it seems like he's not really getting the respect that he deserves from anybody, and the thing is, even like the Creed people should have some respect for him too, because that series exists because of what he did. And it built on his star power and his stardom and his character. So he needs to be treated with some respect. And I think he does have to have a say in how those movies are, because ultimately it's his property. It is.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is, the argument I think that comes with this against it, the devil's advocate argument is, well, he's made, hundreds of millions of dollars off Rocky, and he created it,
and it's not always about money too. It's the fact that he wants to leave something for his children, and he wants that to be passed down. And he wants, when he's gone, they're probably still going to want to make Rocky movies. He probably doesn't want them to remake Rocky, or if it's going to be done, at least have the Stallone family involved somehow.
Exactly. You can look at it, and you could look at it this from any other kind of estate. Look at the Tolkien estate. Look at the Siegel and Shuster, who created Superman. You have to look at this in a sense where, how long do we wait till after somebody gets fucked over to give a shit? It's like you're finding out right now, hey, look, a creator is being fucking hosed over. Are you going to wait till they're dead and 20 years later to fight this fight? Let's do the right thing now. It's not, this isn't about we're just trying to make millionaires more millions. No. Because if it were you and you had created something and you wanted, hey, this is my idea, and now somebody else owns it and they can do whatever the fuck they want with it, you'd be like, that's fucking bullshit. So for me, I could just say from my own personal taste, or my own personal take on this whole thing, is that, I'm just not going to support these projects that don't have Stallone's stamp of approval. Thus far, he's shown his approval for Creed 3. I think he's done it for Michael B. Jordan more than anybody. But I'm not going to support Drago. I'm not going to write about it. I'm not going to write any stories about it. I'm not going to share anything about it. I'm not going to say anything positive. I think that people have to take some kind of solidarity with this. Some people's like, I don't give a fuck. It's just more content for me.
And the thing is, I don't know. He might, the Creed 3 thing, that situation might get ugly. I don't know.
It could. It could absolutely snowball, and he might just say, you know what, fuck it. Here's the deal on Creed. And I think that they probably have kind of pushed him out of all of this. Like, oh, he's just an old man. His time has passed, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, bull fucking shit, dude.
They're building on stuff that he created, though.
This is his, exactly.
And I think that,
creation.
I think Ryan Coogler hasn't said anything either. And I think that Ryan Coogler brought Stallone in and did it the right way. And I think that they're not doing it the right way. We'll see.
Yeah. And I mean,
we'll see.
At this point,
much more about this is going to come out, though. We'll see.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and Stallone,
I think probably the best thing that they have is probably, I can imagine Michael B. Jordan probably doesn't want shit to come out about this. He probably wants his support. So, I think we'll,
I can't imagine
if anybody could broker peace, it'd probably be him, but we'll see.
I hope that something does. I would just like to see
if I go see Creed 3 though, and they've killed off Rocky without Stallone's approval, I'm going to be fucking pissed. That will be bullshit.
Yeah, they might want to figure that out, because that's going to be a bit of a problem.
That would not be cool. That would be bullshit.
Yeah. I don't know, man. The more I think about this, I think the Rocky franchise out of Stallone's hands is not in good hands. I think it's going to
It's
be
not.
a big
He
fucking
is the
problem.
Rocky franchise and the Creed franchise. He is those movies.
And if they were going to do a Drago franchise, he has to be
Is the
involved.
world clamoring for a Drago movie? Like really?
Nobody, which is why if they were going to do it, it would need Stallone behind it. And Stallone was apparently he was already developing something, which I guess Winkler had said that they were keen to do, of Rocky taking on like an illegal street kid and like training him, which could have been something. But I don't know. I don't know what's going on with any of that, but it just sounds like it's not good.
No,
it's really not good. So I'm choosing not to support any of that stuff, any of these spin-offs or anything at this point, because, I feel like we wait too long to show any kind of solidarity with this stuff. We wait till somebody dies and we say, "Oh man, we should have done something."
Yeah.
Like you could do something now. So
yeah,
I'm not going to support it, but it's going to be an interesting one to watch develop.
yeah. Sure will.
So Chris, let's move on to what we're watching this week. I know you were at Comic-Con and you watched Prey, but was there anything else that came across
I didn't
your
watch
eyeballs?
much, to be honest. I've been kind of busy since I got home. I did watch Nope though, finally yesterday.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like it's dividing people quite a bit. I thought it was quite good. I thought for me, it was his second best movie behind Get Out. I don't think it was perfect, but there were things about it that I really liked. And I think that for me, one of the things is it exploited a primal fear that I have, and it's a fear of primates. Because the whole thing, when it starts with the chimpanzee, like ripping off like the first thing I said without even trying to be funny, I was like, nope. When I saw it, because it's like it's something I'm terrified of, and that whole fucking sequence really freaked me out. It's rare that I get like freaked out in a movie, because that to me is something that can really happen. I won't even go to a zoo if there's a chimpanzee around. I don't like them. I don't want to be in the same room as them. They scare the shit out of me. They're not pets and they're not human, and people treat them like they are. And I liked the whole way they did that. And I liked the theme song was Gowan, "You're a Strange Animal. You're a strange animal." Like I thought that was quite fun. And I thought that the movie itself,
and the Purple People Eaters was another song that was prominent.
Yeah, and I liked the performances. I thought Daniel Kaluuya was great. I thought that Keke Palmer was great. Keke Palmer, she was really good. I liked the Spanish guy, the kid, forget his name. Michael Wincott was awesome, playing basically
love Michael Wincott.
Yeah, with that great fucking voice.
God, he's got such a great voice.
Well, I liked the payoff to his character too, and he tells her, don't pursue the perfect shot. It's going to be an obsession that'll never go away, and that's how
that's how he dies.
Yeah, and he's like, and he even tells the guy, Angel, it's going to be all right, and he's like, he knows it, and he doesn't care. I thought it was a pretty rich movie in a lot of ways, and I liked the ending. It was cool. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was unique. I enjoyed it. I think the primate stuff, the Gordy.
To me, they could have done a whole movie about that. That was very unnerving.
That's what I was gonna say. I think like that itself. I know that he was using it as kind of like a compare contrast over humans trying to control something that can't be controlled or that doesn't want to be controlled.
Yeah.
I get that aspect, but I almost felt like that would have been a stronger movie in itself rather than having the whole UFO thing.
Well, and the way that was done was really impressive too, just the sounds, and you don't see too much, but you see enough, and it was and that was Terry Notary from Rise of the Planet of the Apes and The Square doing the chimpanzee, which I thought was really cool.
The sound design in Nope is fucking phenomenal. We saw it in IMAX, and oh man, the sound is great.
Well, and he's using the IMAX camera too, which is cool. Like apparently the Michael Wincott character is based on the cinematographer, and he's like wearing his clothes and stuff. Yeah.
I really enjoy. It's actually my favorite Jordan Peele movie. I like it better than Get Out personally, but that's all. Hey, whatever. But I really liked the UFO being an actual creature.
Yeah, that was
a spaceship. I thought that was cool.
Really see that, yeah, because it would be what is life like on another planet. Like it was kind of cool. Yeah,
and it was cool to see it like I don't know how they did it, but the way that it moved, you know, the
Yeah.
way that it kind of jumped, the way that it jumped between the clouds and everything it was hunting, you know,
Yeah.
it was like hiding itself behind the clouds and
Well,
everything.
and
I
just
just
the
thought that
fact that
was
it's
really
eating
clever.
people and you see them being devoured, I thought that was well done. And he doesn't show you too much. He shows you enough, but not too much.
Yeah. It's a really,
He leaves some mystery in it, but the fucking chimpanzee stuff scared the shit out of me. Bone chilling.
it should. They
Yeah,
fucking
bone
eat
chilling.
people's faces, dude, for
Of course
real.
they do. And then you see the girl with the thing and her fucking lips are missing. Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know if you've seen this, and I if it freaks you out that much, I wouldn't recommend you.
I saw
Googling
the
it,
Oprah thing with the woman whose face was ripped off. Yeah, yeah.
but that she got the face transplant.
Yeah,
and she
that's
looks
100%
even more
where
horrific.
Jordan Peele got it from. You probably from that episode. You probably saw the same episode of Oprah
Ooh.
that I saw that freaked me out when I was a kid, and that's why I've always been afraid of them. And it was probably the same thing that scarred me because she's referred to so many times in the movie. So it's
Well, it's like that the old fable about the snake, right?
Yeah.
You know, the woman nurses the snake back to health and feeds it and takes care of it, and then one day it bites her and she's gonna die. And it's like, you know, she's like, "Snake, why did you kill me?" And the snake's like, "Well, you knew I was a snake."
it's
It's the same. It's the same thing. Like if you have a pet tiger, you have a pet fucking monkey. Like
I see you've also seen The Crying Game.
so.
I have to kind of get going, so we should move on to a few more. That was about all I watched. I am watching a show though that you might be interested now in Cobra Kai.
Oh yeah, season 5.
Yeah.
Did you finish it already, or are you still watching?
I'm a chunk of the way in.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm pacing because we haven't gotten the last episode yet because it's not done. And it's good.
Well, I did watch one other thing that I was going to mention. I watched it just last night. I watched The Most Hated Man on the Internet.
Oh, I watched that. I watched that too.
Netflix.
I saw it as well. Yes.
My wife was watching it and she was like, "You need to watch this."
Yeah. It was
I watched it all last night.
Mhm.
Really compelling shit, frightening shit.
And he's a piece of shit too.
And this guy and I'd never even heard of this website before.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, it wasn't my thing, you know.
I'm like, it's for something that was so popular. I'd never heard of it. I never even heard of the guy. But now, guess what? Yeah, I hate him too.
I'd like to beat the shit out of him, like everybody does.
It's a breeze watch, really. It's 3 episodes. So if you're looking for like kind of a true crime-ish kind of docuseries, I do recommend it. It's kind of cautionary too. In terms of like getting hacked, you know, with like what you're putting in your email and things like that. So
and now he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, an absolute.
Did you watch The Gray Man? I never got your comments on that.
I did watch The Gray Man. I probably felt similarly to you, and that it was entertaining enough. Like Gosling and Evans, I thought were both really fun. They were, you know, but it was a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Disguised as an action movie, or an action movie disguised as a superhero movie, however you want to term it. And ultimately, it just didn't have like the stakes or the story that
I never for a second thought any of the leads were in danger. And I'm convinced that Chris Evans's character isn't even dead. I was expecting them to like he's gonna come back in some other movie at the end.
Same.
There's no stakes in any of these things anymore. Nobody's ever dead. It's just, you know.
I feel like that's, and you know, I felt similarly about Spiderhead as well. Like it was kind of like these Netflix movies continue to do this, where they can create an entertaining show, but it's not something where I'm like, that is a fucking classic.
No, not
like
at all.
I've always been like, oh, it's like
it's always kind of like
junk.
Okay,
it's junk food. It's junk food. That's Netflix is just making expensive junk food. And it's kind of
as far as their blockbusters go, but then they make good awards movies. Like Blonde will be good.
And they make good shows. Like there's a lot of shows that I quite enjoy. But they're these movies. Like I watched The Gray Man. I'm like, where's the $200 million?
And then they're already saying like, you know, they're announcing the 3 spin-offs, and it's just like, do we need that?
Sequel and spin-offs, and I'm just like
is the appetite even? I was looking at the numbers. The numbers weren't even that great. Like it was the Adam Project did better, so it's like, who cares? You know, and nobody's clamoring for the Adam Project too. I will say though, compare that. Did you finish The Old Man?
I did finish The Old Man. I love that. I fucking love that show so fucking much.
It feels like it's an adaptation of the book broken up over 2 seasons. I think they had to end it because he got sick and because of COVID. And I think that rather than compressing it, they just decided to give it another season so they could do it right.
I'm so glad they did. So glad they did. And that makes me very happy.
I mean, it ended in a very like I cannot wait to see the new season.
Yeah, it's so well done. I can't get over how awesome it is. I did not expect it. I love when shows that I never expected.
My favorite show of the year so far, for sure.
Absolutely, without question. It's fucking awesome. So fuck.
And
I can't even say
which character I like more, Lithgow or Bridges. I think they're both awesome, and I like Aaliyah Shawkat too.
I think they're awesome. I also really like Bill Heck, the guy that plays
he's
young
great.
Jeff Bridges.
I know, we were just so awesome
about
that with Laura. He's awesome, and I like the guy that's like the assassin too. I think he's kind of
cool.
Yeah. That's what's happening with him now. He's become like a more interesting character. And even he's CIA agent guy who seemed like an asshole. It kind of there was more to him in the end. You know, like I think he's dead now, but there was still more to him.
He's dead. Yeah. He's dead now. But yeah, I agree. Fuck, the old man is so good, dude. I can't wait for season 2.
And that action scene where the black guy, the contractor, when he takes out the sniper was really cool.
Oh yeah, he takes out more than a sniper. He takes out everybody.
Yeah. That was a great scene. Cool action scene. Yeah.
And you know what's great? I'll say this before we move on to questions here, but the show, what it really feels like, and this is what I believe that they went for, was that it feels like a play. The way the scenes play out, it feels like
that's
I'm
why
watching
it has that
play.
card too at the beginning, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it really is a play with like these great little action sequences and just amazing character moments. And I believe I said this already, but like I did on the podcast, but like the way the characters reveal themselves has been amazing.
Now I'm even sympathetic towards the Afghan warlord, because he's not the guy, the boogeyman that you think he's going to be. He actually has, I get why he wants to fucking kill him, that's the thing. Like I would want to as well, it's just kind of that is the good thing about the show though. And it lets you make up your own mind, and even the guys that are sent after them in the convoy aren't monsters. They're like, we hate to do this. We're sorry. And it's like, well, I have no choice. I have to kill you all. Like, and it was just kind of, it was pretty great.
Well, and that's,
Brenneman is really good too. I like how her character is kind of a duplicitous side that she unleashes.
Yeah, where she's revealed to be way more than just like some damsel in distress kind of thing.
Aaliyah Shawkat's really good in it too. Like it's it's a great show.
Well, and we were talking about how, something like The Gray Man has no stakes. This is a spy, assassin thriller kind of movie. And you look at The Old Man and you're like, just as you said, like you have sympathy for every other character, and you don't know who's safe or who isn't.
No, I totally didn't know what would happen at the end of it. I
had no idea.
I figured Bridges would probably live, but even I wasn't 100% sure though, but I was pretty sure.
Yeah. Well, and even the title has more going on. Like The Gray Man is a pretty basic title.
And the old man. And the thing
who is the old man? It could be anybody.
Yeah, I could refer to. There's 3 potential old men in it that you could be referring to.
4. There's 4.
Yeah. Joel Gray's character too. Yeah, there's 4. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different characters, so you don't really know, and I think that keeps it interesting. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't. No. So anyways, The Old Man is amazing. If you haven't watched it, all the episodes are on Hulu for season 1. I highly recommend it.
Me too, yeah.
Let's do some questions because I know Chris has to get going. Let's see here. Can you guys elaborate on, this is from Busby Marley. Can you guys elaborate on the Sly's comments? I am not in tune with the whole Rocky thing. We got you taken care of.
We did that.
Abraham Rodriguez. Have you guys heard good things about DC Super Pets? I'm considering making this my 4-year-old's first theater experience.
Jimmy O enjoyed it, but he said it wasn't it was fine. And
I feel like it's fine is kind of the predominant thought on that. I'm just going to wait to watch it maybe on HBO Max when it's there in like a month.
It'll be out in like 21 days probably.
Any thoughts on Umbrella Academy? I just finished the 3rd season and
I've never watched it, but a lot of people really like it. Our guy Gaius really likes it on the site.
Yeah, I'm the same. I haven't watched
Alex
it.
Mady really likes it too. So I've heard, I've heard good things. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's I feel like those that watch it love it. I just haven't, so I can't comment.
It's too much of it now almost and it's kind of, I'll never catch up with it. The next one I really want to binge on is probably The Bear because I've heard that's great.
Oh yeah, that's had a lot of talk. Let's see. Shemp, whatever happened to that new Guy Ritchie with Jason Statham, Aubrey Plaza, and Josh Hartnett movie?
Vanished. The company STX seems like
STX
they've gone out of business. And
no, they sold. I believe they sold. They sold to somebody else. So
they sold most of their movies to Paramount and to Showtime, but they didn't sell that one because I think there's other rights issues. So it's weird.
Yeah.
My local movie theater still has posters up for it. So
yeah,
I'm hoping
I
it
saw.
comes out.
Yeah,
Weird title, Ruse de Guerre, Operation Fortune, Ruse de Guerre. But I'd like to, I hope it comes out. It looks cool. We'll see.
yeah. I mean, I like that Guy Ritchie guy.
I feel like it's going to show up on like Amazon one day, though. It's just
Yeah,
gonna be
I feel like it's probably destined for streaming at this
yeah,
point.
I would think so. Yeah.
Kevin Muller, Paul, what military novels would make a good series of films? And Chris, have you read Antkind by Charlie Kaufman or Blonde?
No,
I guess Blonde.
I've heard Blonde though. I've heard a lot about it. I can see why it was NC-17.
I'm not gonna read. I'm not gonna attempt to read Blonde because it's like 800 pages. I hear, or it's really long. I have no desire to read that much about Marilyn Monroe. Personally, it's just not something that interests me. In terms of military novels that would make a good series, I honestly don't read a lot of military themed novels, believe it or not. I haven't read any like serialized stuff of late, but I have been reading Jack Carr's books. Just kind of got into them. I'm still in the midst of the second James Reese book. So I don't know, man. I don't have any, there's no real like anything out there. I would recommend reading my book, The War Scars, when it comes out next year. That's what you should read. Stuntman Mike, your thoughts on legacy shows, movies coming back and destroying happily ever afters just because it's an easy story trope that audiences and characters deserved after investing years into these characters, such as Han Leia's marriage, Riker Deanna Troi losing a child, Rachel dying, and Blade Runner 2049.
It depends. It depends if it's done well or not. I mean, I think 2049 worked for me.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with 2049.
The whole Han and Leia thing, I know it was divisive. I didn't care though, because the thing is, you can take it or leave it. That's the thing. For me, you don't destroy the legacy of the characters, because if I don't like it, I'll just ignore it. Like that, yeah. I can do that. I think I can compartmentalize more than some people can.
There's a saying out there that I did not come up with, and it's very basic, and it is things only have the value that you give them.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I feel like I apply that commonly. Like Alien 3, I remember seeing that in theaters, and I hated it after the opening credits because they killed off Hicks.
But then they almost did another Hicks movie a couple of years ago, though. So you know, who's to say what's real and what's not?
Yeah. So it's one of those things where in my mind, I don't give a shit about Alien 3 or Alien Resurrection. I don't even acknowledge them. I don't rewatch them.
Yeah.
So for me, the Alien franchise ended at Aliens. Like the prequels are fine. But I just treated it like it never happened. So a lot of that stuff just doesn't really.
I feel the same way too. I mean, I think Alien Resurrection is unwatchable. I think Alien 3 has its moments that are interesting, but I also think they made a movie that was just like, who the fuck is gonna want to see this? But then I think Aliens was fucking amazing. So and Alien, those two movies are fucking classics.
Fucking classics, yeah, they're fucking amazing. But I have my gripes with kind of the Star Wars. I think the Star Wars sequel trilogy is a fucking disaster. Like, I think from a story perspective, which has nothing to do with my opinion, I think that it just narratively it's a disaster. And they did not plan that well at all. So I understand people having
it's the
gripes
question of happily ever after too, though. I mean, as a person who lives in the real world, we all know that happily ever after doesn't necessarily exist.
Exactly. Well, you look at happily ever after, what started with Disney movies, right? Where it's like, and they got married and lived happily ever after. Who the fuck gets married and lives happily ever after?
That's why I always really liked Jewel of the Nile, because it was like they go off together on the boat and it's this happy ending, and it's like they pick up a year later, she's fucking bored. She wants to go back to her life.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is like happily ever after isn't like some kind of stamped guarantee. You got to continue to like pump life and to keep happily ever after in that way. Like a marriage or relationship or whatever, it takes work, it takes investment, it takes time, it takes all of these things
day by day. It's not this one thing.
It's not like every day you wake up and fucking birds are chirping and music is playing and everything is perfect. That's just not real life. So really, and I believe you said this just a few moments ago, There is no happily ever after. There's no such thing.
It's like on Friends with the guy who would wake up in the morning, morning's here. Like it's not really like that. We don't have that happy. I would say happy-ish ever after is probably the best way to go. If you can get that mostly happy ever after.
Yeah, yep. You're gonna have moments of happiness. You're gonna have some misery. You're gonna have, it's like.
But the thing is, without the bitter, the sweet ain't as sweet, is it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I think that there are instances where there's like kind of a lack of respect for characters, and it's kind of like, I'm just gonna fucking kill them, or I'm gonna make them look like an idiot. But I think most of the time, I think it's approached with well, this probably could have happened. I don't know. Maybe this is the way that it went. But I don't think anybody's wrong for not liking the way things happened or the way that they're portrayed, but you still can't change it. It's just, it's kind of the way that it is. Last question from Kevin Malloy. What are your top 3 Michael Keaton flicks?
Oh, okay. So that's a good one. So for
89 Batman is, I'm sure, going to be on both of our lists. I don't see how.
89 Batman, and then I would say probably Clean and Sober. That's a great one. And that was the movie that got him Batman, where he's like this coke addict. I thought he was awesome in that movie. And then the next one is a tough one because like he's done a lot of movies that I really like. Like I'm thinking of like a lot. Like I mean, probably you're gonna laugh. It'd probably be My Life, I guess.
Fuck you fucking psychopath.
It's fucking sad, but I mean,
you are a psycho.
But he did other great movies too. I mean, I love Pacific Heights. I love The Dream Team. I Johnny Dangerously is kind of fun. I like Gung Ho. But then
I grew up with Gung Ho. Yeah.
But then I rewatched One Good Cop, and I used to love it as a kid, and it fucking sucks now. But then he did a movie. Well, he didn't do a movie, but he did a show recently that like goes up there with best of anything he ever did. It was Dope Sick, and he was incredible in Dope Sick.
Yeah, Dope Sick is really good.
I thought that whole show was like a masterpiece. I'm interested in seeing Peter Berg's version with Taylor Kitsch, which is apparently from a different perspective. So I'm curious to see that as well. But it was anyway, it's tough because Keaton's great. How about you?
Beetlejuice.
Oh,
Batman.
Beetlejuice. I totally forgot about Beetlejuice. Yeah, and Batman Returns as well. Like it's it's tough.
Batman, Beetlejuice, and for me on a comedy front, I gotta choose Multiplicity because I just love how
I always thought it was overrated. I thought he was great in it, but I thought the movie was like, eh.
I love like the different the way he plays the 3 different characters. I think is amazing.
But I love him in, I like him as villains too. I liked him in Pacific Heights and even in Desperate Measures. Not a great movie, but I thought he was pretty cool in it.
Yeah, Desperate Measures. That's what I saw in theaters. I don't think I've ever seen it again.
Got those insane eyes, like and the eyebrows.
Yeah, he can do crazy eyes. He can do it if he needs to. He'll do some fucking crazy eyes. So that's it for us for this week. Thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate you listening, giving us your time. We will be back next time with more crazy shit. Hopefully we'll see where things go with Stallone and what new DC movie Ben Affleck is popping up in as Batman. So anyways, thank you guys for joining us. Hope you guys had a good time, and we will see you next time.